Welcome everyone. In today's lecture, we will discuss the last topic of the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare, that is microbes as biofertilizers. It is 10.6. The topic is microbes as biofertilizers. Right? Now this is our today's topic. Now this is the last topic in the chapter. We discussed that microorganisms produce many household products, microorganisms produce many industrial products, microorganisms produce many chemicals. Then 10.4, microorganisms help in manufacturing antibiotics, microorganisms as biocontrol agents, and the last one is microorganisms as biofertilizers. Okay. First of all, let us try to understand what is a fertilizer. Fertilizer is a chemical formulation where the farmer will go buy it from a chemist shop, add it to the soil when the soil becomes deficit of nutrients. See, when we use the soil again and again, then the soil will lose the fertility. So, since the soil is losing the fertility, the farmer, what he will try? He'll try to buy a fertilizer from the market and add it to the soil to enhance the nutritional quality. That is called as a chemical fertilizer. So that we have been doing from years together. But by doing that now, what is the concern is buying chemical fertilizers and adding it to the soil has caused environmental pollution. So the present concern in the entire world is how to control the environmental pollution. Let it be soil pollution or land pollution or water pollution. That is a concern all over the worldwide. It is we only has polluted. We are only responsible for polluting the environment. But then we don't have any alternative at that time, because to the increasing demands of the human population, if you have to supply the food means, then somehow you have to use fertilizers and all, pesticides and all, insecticides and all to meet the demands. So after damaging the environment to particular level, now the pressure is more to reduce the environmental pollution. If the environment is not coming back again to the normal conditions, then we cannot survive in such a polluted environment. Now we can tell that now we are switching from chemical fertilizers to biofertilizers. Now what is the difference between chemical fertilizers and biofertilizers? Let us try to understand by making a table, right? We will write what are biofertilizers and what are their uses, and we will also see what are chemical fertilizers simultaneously. Over usage of this chemical fertilizers only has caused the pollution, right? Now what are chemical fertilizers? They contain chemical formulations, right? Chemical fertilizers, urea, all these things, they contain chemical formulations. Whereas coming to biofertilizer, biofertilizer means using living organism, right? Using microorganisms. So biofertilizers, what do they contain, Amma? They contain living microorganisms. Biofertilizers contains living microorganisms, whereas that is made up of chemical formulations. Now, which is cheaper? Buying chemical is cheaper, or extracting the microorganism which is already there is cheaper? So, these are cheap and they are expensive. Biofertilizers are cheap, whereas chemical fertilizers, we'll tell they are expensive. Chemical fertilizers are expensive. Now, chemical fertilizers, since they are chemicals and they are processed, they release nutrients fastly. They supply, chemical fertilizers supply nutrients fastly to the soil. Whereas biofertilizers, they have to manufacture it, they have to prepare it, and they have to release. So, they slowly release the nutrients into the soil. Whereas chemical fertilizer releases the nutrients. It releases the nutrients fast into the soil. Whereas for biofertilizer, we can tell biofertilizer slowly supplies the nutrients to the soil. So biofertilizers slowly they supply nutrients to the soil. Since they have to prepare them and then they should give it to the soil, they slowly supply the nutrients to the soil, whereas this one, it releases fast into the soil because it's already a preparation. Now biofertilizer will not cause any environmental pollution, whereas chemical fertilizer will cause pollution. That we can tell. Do not cause microorganisms. They're present in the environment, so why do they cause problem? They do not cause environmental pollution. Whereas here we can tell chemical fertilizers, they cause environmental pollution. Chemical fertilizers, they cause environmental pollution. Right, Amma? And then when we have to talk about which improves the soil structure and soil functioning, means microorganisms, they enhance the soil structure and soil functions, whereas adding chemical, you are deteriorating the soil composition. So this will enhance the soil structure and soil function. This will deteriorate the soil structure and soil function. Let us write down. So biofertilizer will enhance the soil structure and soil functioning, whereas chemical fertilizers, they deteriorate, right? They deteriorate the soil structure and soil functioning. And when you are adding a chemical to the soil, are you changing the pH of the soil? Obviously. Means adding chemical fertilizers will change the pH of the soil, whereas adding microorganisms will not cause any change in the pH. So here we can tell that changes the pH of the soil. Here we can tell there's no change in the pH of the soil. Adding bacteria, cyanobacteria, fungi will not cause any change in the pH. So no change in the pH of the soil. It will not cause any change in the pH of the soil. Now biofertilizers like microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, cyanobacteria, they will not allow the soil pathogens to grow. Since they are there, they will kill, or they have antagonistic action, opposite action on some soil-borne pathogens. We can tell they decrease soil-borne pathogens in the soil. Biofertilizers decrease soil-borne pathogens in soil. Since they are already there in the soil, they'll not give space for another pathogens to survive. Whereas chemical fertilizer doesn't have any impact. It doesn't have any impact, we can tell. And biofertilizers, since they are living organisms, they have an ability to release vitamins also. They have an ability to release growth promoting substances also and supplying it to the plant. So that we can write. Biofertilizers release growth promoting factors. They release growth promoting factors and vitamins which promote the growth of the plant. Since they are living organisms, they have an ability to release, to secrete growth promoting factors and vitamins. So when you come to chemical fertilizer, it is a chemical. What it can release? No, it doesn't have any impact. Chemical fertilizer doesn't have any impact. So are you checking how many advantages we have for biofertilizers, how many advantages we have for chemical fertilizers? If we have to list down some examples of chemical fertilizers, urea, right? Ammonia are examples of chemical fertilizers. If we have to list down the examples of biofertilizers, bacteria, cyanobacteria, fungi. What are the examples of biofertilizers, Amma? They are bacteria, cyanobacteria means blue-green algae, and the third category is fungi. So quickly, let us see the recap. So our topic is microorganisms as biofertilizers. Now we are telling that because of the usage of chemical fertilizers, so we have damaged the environment, which is causing environmental pollution. It became concern all over the world. Now there is pressure all throughout the nation that now come on, switch from chemical farming to organic farming. Then we start thinking about biofertilizers. What are biofertilizers? They are living organisms itself. So they can enhance the crop yield, they can enhance the soil quality. At the same time, they don't damage the environment, they don't cause any harmful effects. Now we are trying to see the differences between a biofertilizer and a chemical fertilizer. Biofertilizer, since it is made up of bacteria, cyanobacteria and fungi, we are telling it contains living organisms. And here chemical fertilizer, we are telling it's urea and ammonia, so it contains chemical formulation. Since it is chemical factories will prepare it, so buying it is an expensive task. Since these are microorganisms which are already present in the soil, they are cheap to be used. Now biofertilizers, since they are living organisms, they have to produce them, they slowly release the nutrients into the soil, whereas this one, chemical fertilizer, since it is already having it, it releases the nutrients fast into the soil. Now biofertilizers don't cause any environmental pollution, but yes, they do cause environmental pollution, and they are present in the microorganism only. Soil contains microorganisms, so they don't alter the soil structure or soil functioning. Whereas when you add a chemical, it deteriorates the crop size, the soil granule size, it deteriorates the soil functioning. Here, since it is a living organism, it will not alter the pH of the soil. If it is acidic pH, acidity will remain. If it is basic pH, basicity will remain. Here it changes the pH of the soil. Then biofertilizers, they release the growth promoting factors and vitamins and they provide to the soil. They enhance more, whereas no such effect is here. And biofertilizers, since they are there, bacteria, cyanobacteria, fungi are there, they will not allow other pathogenic organisms to grow in the soil. Chemical fertilizer doesn't have any impact like that. Example of chemical fertilizer is urea and ammonia. Example for biofertilizers are bacteria, cyanobacteria and fungi. See, we have seen the differences between biofertilizer to a chemical fertilizer. Take a screenshot, then we will talk about the examples of biofertilizers also. Right, children? Now you understood what are biofertilizers. Now we will see the examples of bacteria, cyanobacteria and fungi. In NCERT, they have given, and the last page of the chapter, they have given 3 paras, right? So one para is about bacteria, another para is about cyanobacteria, another para is about fungi. If you see the designing of NCERT textbooks, such beautifully they designed it, so it will be student friendly. Para to para they have differentiated, okay? And what we are doing is thoroughly NCERT only we are following in our classes also. Now the major sources of biofertilizers are 3 sources: bacteria, fungi, cyanobacteria. Let us write down the major sources of biofertilizers are, what are they? One is bacteria, other one is fungi, and the third one is cyanobacteria. The third category is cyanobacteria. We have to see one after the other. We will start with bacteria then. So let's start with bacteria as biofertilizers. In bacteria, we have symbiotic bacteria also. We have free living bacteria also. Let us talk about symbiotic bacteria first. Symbiotic bacteria as biofertilizers. fertilizer. Now, mineral nutrition chapter, can you recollect? From mineral nutrition chapter 11th standard, can you recollect nitrogen fixation cycle? Can you recollect leguminaceae plants? The roots of leguminaceae plants have Rhizobium bacteria which helps in nitrogen fixation, isn't it? Do you remember? Yes. What do you mean by symbiotic association? Symbiotic association means a plant and the bacteria both are benefited. Both are benefited. Plant gets nitrogen from the bacteria and plant gives food to the bacteria. Both are benefited. We call such associations as symbiotic associations. There is a soil bacteria called Rhizobium which resides in the root nodules of leguminaceae plants. It resides in the root nodules of leguminaceae plants. If we have to see, this is a Rhizobium, leguminaceae plant, and this is the root system. On the root system there are some nodules, okay. On the root system there are some nodules, pink color nodules we can find. In these nodules the bacteria will reside. Bacteria is staying inside the nodules. What is this bacteria called? Rhizobium. It is called Rhizobium. The Rhizobium is staying in the nodules. It is staying in the nodules of leguminaceae plants. In the nodules of leguminaceae plants. As all of us know that soil is poor in nitrogen. Soil is poor in nitrogen, whereas atmosphere is rich in nitrogen. Atmosphere is rich source of nitrogen, but in atmosphere nitrogen is in the form of nitrogen gas. So this bacteria Rhizobium, it synthesizes an enzyme called nitrogenase enzyme. That nitrogenase enzyme converts nitrogen to ammonia, and it converts the nitrogenous gas to ammonia, and this ammonia can be taken up by the plant. The ammonia is taken up by the plant. So see how the plant is getting benefited by the bacteria. Plant needs nitrogen, but nitrogen is not there in the soil. So then the plant is giving space for the bacteria to reside. What bacteria will come and reside? Rhizobium bacteria will come and stay inside the nodules of the leguminaceae plants, and the bacteria will synthesize an enzyme called what is that enzyme? The bacteria will synthesize an enzyme called nitrogenase. The nitrogenase enzyme converts N2 to ammonia, and this ammonia is absorbed by the roots. So under symbiotic nitrogen fixation, the biofertilizer what we can give? Popular example is Rhizobium. Rhizobium bacteria with which plant, amma? With leguminaceae plants. Fabaceae members, right? With Fabaceae members we can tell. Okay. Now, there is another member called Frankia. Frankia, what is Frankia? Frankia comes under Cyanobacteria. Frankia comes under Cyanobacteria. This also forms root nodules. Frankia also forms root nodules, but in non-leguminaceae plants, Rhizobium is forming root nodules in leguminaceae plants. Frankia forms root nodules in non-leguminaceae plants. Non-leguminaceae plants like Alnus and Casuarina. In Alnus and Casuarina, Frankia forms root nodules. In the root nodules, Frankia will go stay. It will do the same thing. So what are the examples of symbiotic? Under symbiotic, we have taken Rhizobium with leguminaceae plants, Frankia with non-leguminaceae plants like Alnus and Casuarina. This came in 2017 NEET examination. Frankia helps in nitrogen fixation. In which plants is the question? Alnus and Casuarina is the answer. Now Frankia is doing nitrogen fixation symbiotically or non-symbiotically? Symbiotically means Frankia will stay with the plant and the plant will give food, plant will give shelter for the bacteria. And what this bacteria is doing? This bacteria is converting atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia and giving it to the plant. So this comes under symbiotic bacteria as biofertilizers. Next one is non-symbiotic bacteria also act as biofertilizers. They are called as free living. Free living means non-symbiotic. Non-symbiotic bacteria as biofertilizers. Okay children, we have listed two examples, right? We have listed two examples under symbiotic. The first example is Rhizobium we listed. The second one is Frankia we listed. Now under non-symbiotic also in NCERT they have given two examples. Azotobacter and Azospirillum they have given. What are the examples of free living means non-symbiotic bacteria which have an ability to do nitrogen fixation? One example NCERT talks is Azotobacter. And the second example is Azospirillum. These two are the examples of NCERT. Let me add some more examples. Okay, A we have written, B and C also we can write. Under B we can write Beechernichia. Under C we can write Clostridium and Chlorobium. Amma, I added three more examples. What are the three examples I added under free living? One is Azotobacter, Azospirillum are already there in NCERT. These two are there in NCERT. Now these three we added. What are the three? Beechernichia, Clostridium, Chlorobium. What do they do? So they are free living. They are present inside the soil itself. Now this is the root. And here is the soil. This is the bacteria. What is the name of the bacteria? Azotobacter. The Azotobacter present in the soil. Where is it present? It is present in the soil. It's not making an association in the roots of the plant. So this Azotobacter present in the soil itself, it takes atmospheric nitrogen. It takes atmospheric nitrogen and converts it to ammonia, and it will give ammonia to the soil. Here ammonia is directly going into the plant. Ammonia is directly synthesized in the plant, but here ammonia will be there in the soil. From the soil the root has to absorb it. From the soil the root has to absorb it. That's the difference between symbiotic and free living. In symbiotic the ammonia is formed inside itself, inside the root itself, but here since it is free living, it doesn't have any physical connection with that of the plant. It will be there in the soil and it takes atmospheric nitrogen from the soil, converts it to ammonia, and that ammonia stays in the soil. From the soil the roots will absorb it. Okay children, so I think we told the major sources of biofertilizers. One is bacteria, second one is fungi, third one is cyanobacteria. So first we covered bacteria. Under bacteria we are listing down which are symbiotic bacteria, which are free living bacteria. Under symbiotic bacteria in NCERT, Rhizobium is mentioned, Frankia is mentioned. In free living, two examples are mentioned, Azotobacter, Azospirillum. We can also add Beechernichia, Clostridium and Chlorobium, which will convert atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia and make the soil fertile. They make the soil fertile. Okay. So, you know what is meant by crop rotation? Do you know what is meant by crop rotation? Or do you know what is meant by green manure? Right. For example, if I have 1 acre of land, and if I know anything related to this biofertilizers, first crop what I will use is leguminaceae plants I'll grow. Leguminaceae plants I'll grow. When I grow leguminaceae plants, then they take atmospheric nitrogen and they convert them into ammonia, and then that ammonia will be fixed in the soil. Right, will be fixed in the soil. That means soil is enriched with the nutrients now. Because I grow leguminaceae plants, the soil is enriched with nutrients. Now after that, after I cut down all the beans and all, then I will pluck off those Fabaceae members, right? I need soil again. I'll pluck out those Fabaceae members. This time I'll go for paddy cultivation, cereal cultivation, wheat cultivation I'll go. So when I'm using second crop as rice or wheat, then the soil is already fertilized, right? So you need not buy chemical fertilizer, add and enrich to the soil. So we call crop rotation. First crop is leguminaceae member, to enrich the soil, followed by paddy plantation. After that, paddy will consume all the nitrogen which is present in the soil. Again, third cultivation will be bean cultivation, again paddy cultivation, again bean cultivation, again paddy cultivation. This is called crop rotation. And when you are plucking off the bean members, so you need not throw it off. So there also in the roots bacteria is there, nitrogen is there. Now add that green plant as a manure. So that will even enrich the soil. That's what is a concept called crop rotation and green manure. So the principle is again with rhizobium only, with nitrogen fixation only. Take a screenshot. Then we will talk about fungi as a biofertilizer. Right, children? Now our second biofertilizer is fungi. Now we know that there are certain fungi which go into the roots of the higher plants and they make some symbiotic associations which are called as mycorrhizal associations. They act as biofertilizers. Amma. Bacteria, we finished. Now we are going to discuss about fungi as biofertilizer. Fungi as biofertilizer. Fungi form symbiotic associations with the roots of the higher plant, and the name given to such an association is called mycorrhiza. Let me write down. Fungi form symbiotic associations with the roots of higher plants, with the roots of higher plants. And what is that association called? Mycorrhiza, mycorrhizal roots. Okay, children. Now these mycorrhiza are of two types. We can divide them into Ecto Mycorrhiza and Endo Mycorrhiza. Ecto Mycorrhiza means, let us draw the root. This is a root here, and if this is the fungal filament. The fungal filament is making a network and it is going inside. Fungal filament is making a network and it is going inside. Right? So then that's called Ecto Mycorrhiza. It goes into the spaces only. It will not penetrate into the root cortical cells. Then that's called Ecto. If it is making a superficial outside network, then that's called Ecto. Endomycorrhiza means if we are drawing the root and if we are drawing the cells, now these are the cells. Now what endomycorrhiza will do, you know? Endomycorrhiza will penetrate into the root cortical cells also. Not only superficial, endomycorrhiza penetrates into the cells. Endomycorrhiza penetrates into the cells and makes a network. That is called endomycorrhiza. If the fungus goes into the spaces of the root cells, not into the cells, into the spaces, if it goes, it is ectomycorrhiza. If it penetrates even into the root cortical cells, then that is called endomycorrhiza. Okay. Now, ectomycorrhiza, endomycorrhiza, we'll see the examples, right? Now, we know that fungi belong to four classes. Zygomycetes or Phycomycetes is one class. Ascomycetes is another class. Deuteromycetes is another class. Basidiomycetes is another class. Which members of fungi will make ectomycorrhizal associations? Which members of fungi will make endomycorrhizal associations? Basidiomycetes members will make ectomycorrhizal associations. Zygomycetes members will make endomycorrhizal associations. There are four classes: Zygomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, Deuteromycetes. Now, which mycorrhiza will make endomycorrhizal associations? Fungi belonging to, we will write, okay? Fungi belonging to the class Basidiomycetes. Fungi belonging to the class Basidiomycetes form Ecto Mycorrhizal Associations. Now here fungi belonging to the class Zygomycetes make Endomycorrhizal Associations. So here fungi belonging to the class Zygomycetes or Phycomycetes, they form Endomycorrhizal Associations. If we have to list down the examples, the popular example for Ecto Mycorrhizae is Boletus, is a fungi belonging to Basidiomycetes. Glomus is an example for Endomycorrhiza. Example is Glomus. In NCERT, they mentioned Glomus, means they are talking about Endomycorrhiza. Understood, children? Now, this Glomus, since it is penetrating into the root cortical cells, if this is a root cortex cell, what is this, children? This is a root cortex cell. Into the cortex cell, the fungal filaments are going, and after going, they make vesicle-like structures, they make arbuscle-like structures, they make mycorrhizal-like structures. After penetrating into the cell, they are making vesicles, they are making irregular shapes, arbuscules, they are making fungal-like mycorrhizal shapes. So that is why Endomycorrhiza are also called worm fungi. Endomycorrhiza are also called worm fungi. What do you mean by worm fungi? V stands for vesicular. They are making vesicles. A stands for arbuscular. Irregular shape is arbuscules. This is mycorrhiza. Vesicular, arbuscular, mycorrhizal fungi is an example for Endomycorrhiza. Glomus will make it. Ectomycorrhiza, where do we find it? In the roots of the pinus. Ectomycorrhiza are found in pinus. In pinus roots, we can see Ectomycorrhiza. In orchid roots, we can see Endomycorrhiza. In which plant do we find? In orchid roots, we find Endomycorrhiza, whereas in pinus plant, we find Ectomycorrhiza. Now, what benefit the plant will get? What benefit the plant will get? These mycorrhiza, since they have more surface area, they absorb more water and more minerals, give it to the plant. Now, fungi absorbs more water, more minerals, particularly phosphorus, potassium, and phosphorus, potassium, they absorb more and they give it to the plant. Okay, so they absorb phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen also and give it to the plant. Understood? Not only that, fungi will also secrete. They also secrete growth promoting factors. They also secrete growth promoting factors and they promote the growth of the plant, and they also check soil pathogens, root pathogens. It will not allow, since the root is already occupied by the fungus, it will not give space for the root pathogens to enter. They check or they control other root pathogens. How many benefits the fungus is doing to the plant? See, the fungal filaments are growing wide, extensive, deep into the soil, and they absorb more water, more minerals, give it to the plant. Fungus also secretes growth promoting factors, give it to the plant. Fungus also will not allow the pathogenic organisms to enter into the plant. In turn, what benefit the fungus is getting? What benefit the fungus is getting? Plant is giving shelter and plant is providing nutrients, sugars, right? Plant is providing nutrition. Plant is providing nutrition and shelter to the fungi, and fungus is doing so many functions. So I think you understood in detail about fungi also acting as a biofertilizer. Now fungi usually they make symbiotic associations with the roots of the plants. Now then such an association is named as mycorrhizal associations. If that mycorrhiza are in the spaces only, it is Ecto Mycorrhiza. If the mycorrhiza are going into the cortical cells, penetrating into the cortical cells, then that is called Endomycorrhiza. Example for Ecto Mycorrhiza is Boletus fungus. Example for Endomycorrhiza is Glomus. Which class of fungi participate in Ecto Mycorrhizal Associations? Basidiomycetes members. Which class participate in Endomycorrhizal Associations? Zygomycetes members. And Ecto Mycorrhiza with which plant? Example Pinus. Endomycorrhiza with which plant? Orchid plant. Endomycorrhiza goes into the cortical cells and make vesicles, make arbuscules, make mycorrhiza. So that's why it's called worm fungi. What benefit the plant will get? Fungi absorbs more water, more minerals, fungi secrete hormones, and fungus will not allow the root-borne pathogens to enter inside. What benefit the plant fungus will get? Shelter and nutrition. Take a screenshot and then we'll finally talk about cyanobacteria. Right. Now, the last biofertilizer is Cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. Cyanobacteria are found in terrestrial forms also. They are found in association with aquatic forms also. And the names of some cyanobacteria which can act as biofertilizers, which can help in nitrogen fixation are anabaena, Nostoc, oscillatoria, right? So the third and last category is cyanobacteria, which are also called blue green algae. Which members of cyanobacteria can act as biofertilizers means Nostoc, anabaena, oscillatoria. Three names are mentioned in NCERT. What are the examples, children? One is Nostoc, other one is anabaena, and third one is oscillatoria, right? Nostoc picture, we can see it in first year, second chapter, biological classification. Heterocysts of the Nostoc, they are nitrogen fixing forms, right? So Nostoc, anabaena, oscillatoria, they help in nitrogen fixation in paddy fields. So cyanobacteria help in nitrogen fixation in which fields? In rice cultivation, in paddy fields. It helps in nitrogen fixation in paddy fields. The blue-green algae not only enhance the mineral content into the soil, blue-green algae also add on the organic matter to the soil and they even make the soil fertile. Blue-green algae can even increase the organic matter to the soil. They even increase the organic matter and they make the soil fertile. They make the soil fertile. Now, since because of so many agricultural universities and agricultural improvement programs, we have educated the farmers and we have told them the ill effects of chemical fertilizers, and we are asking them to switch from chemical farming to biological farming or organic farming. And farmers now in India only, so many people are using these biofertilizers and they are getting benefited. So they are helping us to reduce the environmental pollution. At the same time, they are giving us the qualitative and nutritive foods which are free of chemicals. Understood? So after reading the chapter, I think our idea about microorganisms has changed, and now we have respect towards microorganisms, since don't think that microorganisms are always harmful only, disease causing only, pathogenic only. Turn the other side of the coin and see how many benefits, rewardless benefits we are deriving from microorganisms, from household to industrial to chemical, and even as biofertilizers, right? In the next lecture, we will discuss about exemplar questions from this chapter. If the content is informative, like, share, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.